Why, hello, everyone. Have you ever wanted to talk about dinner and discuss this in English in detail? That's what we talk about in today's episode of the Social English Podcast. Hikari, please start off the show.
皆さんこんにちは。毎日少しずつ社交に使える英語の上達を目指すソーシャルイングリッシュポッドキャストへようこそ。今日はぜひもっと自信を持って英会話してみましょう。Are you ready, Percy? Let's go!
I sure am ready, Hikari. I'm ready to go, and I am so excited to talk about today's topic on the Social English Podcast. By the way, thank you for that introduction to the show. Minasan, yokuso. Thank you for joining me today on the Social English Podcast. Today we're going to talk about, once again, dinner. How to talk about dinner in English. In specifics, what you ate. Okay, if this is the first time that you've come to our show, once again, welcome. If you are a returning listener, thank you for all the support. Please consider supporting us at patreon.com/social English with a $5 donation. It really helps the show. But let's roll right into the show today. And what we want to talk about is we want to first get in the social English mood. Let's talk about the environment. I want you to relax, and I want you to think about me and you. We are just relaxing at a cafe. We are having coffee, and I'm drinking my favorite coffee, mochaccino. Yeah, a chocolate cappuccino. You are drinking possibly cafe latte or just an espresso. We're having a snack, maybe a croissant, maybe a biscuit or a cookie. And I am your American friend, Percy. You invited out for coffee. So today, we're going to talk about mistakes from Google Translate. Google Translate mistakes when talking about a restaurant and your restaurant experience. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now, I really want you to pay attention and please listen carefully to this particular passage. So I will say the example of the Google Translate English that is wrong, and please listen if you can hear the mistakes. Let's start. Here is the Google Translate. The food was the eating and cooking course of the meat, and the main was the meat of Kumamoto beef and Saga beef. Okay, did you already hear some mistakes? Let me say this one more time. The food was the eating and cooking course of the meat, and the main was the meat of Kumamoto beef and Saga beef. Okay, so please think about this. When we explain things, sometimes we talk too long. this sentence should be 2 sentences. That is mistake number 1. Now, let's describe some other things that are incorrect. In English, especially in American English, we don't say the main, we say main course. Once again, we don't say the main, we say main course or entree. Entree. So in Canada and the United States, we don't say the main, we say entree or main course. Another mistake. When we talk about food, we don't say the food was the eating and cooking course of the meat. The food was the eating and cooking course of the meat. The reason we don't say this is because when we talk about food, we understand. We understand at dinner, food is going to be cooked and eaten. So this is not necessary in this conversation. Okay, let's move on. The next. When we talk about food and we want to talk about meat, we don't say meat and say the type of meat. For example, you would not say the meat of chicken, the meat of beef, the meat of chicken, the meat of beef, the meat of turkey. These are incorrect because when we say beef, that word beef means the food that is made out of a cow that will be eaten. So beef, we are already talking about food. We don't say cow, we say food. We don't say the hamburger contains cow. We say the hamburger contains beef because beef is the cow, but made to eat. It is for eating purposes. Now, let's talk about how to correct this. Let me give you some options. Okay, this is the social English way of correct English. Okay, the correct English. Let's listen. 2 sentences. Sentence 1. At dinner, we ate mostly meat dishes. At dinner, we ate mostly meat dishes. Okay. Number 2. Our main course was beef from Kumamoto and Saga. Our main course was beef from Kumamoto and Saga. Okay. So that is how you would correct that sentence, because it is actually two sentences. Notice the changes. Main course, not the main. We talked about at dinner we ate meat dishes. So the food we ate was mostly meat. Okay. So I also want to remind you, when you talk about food, we don't need to say meat and beef together when we are talking about food, unless you are asking a question about a meat dish to understand what the meat is. Then you would say, what kind of meat is this? What kind of meat is this? But you would not say the meat dish of beef. The meat dish of beef. That would be incorrect and sounds very strange to an English listener that you are speaking to. Okay, that's going to do it for today's episode of the Social English Podcast. I am so glad that you were able to spend some time with me today and practice getting better at your social English. As always, I'd like you to join us at realsocialenglish.com, where you can get my free download, the 7 mistakes most Japanese learners of English make and how to fix them. If this is something that you really think you'd like to check out, go ahead and get that free download. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and now Pandora. Become a patron. Please help support the show by donating 500 yen to $5 to our cause at patreon.com. Subscribe to also, if you do this, I will personally give you a shout out and thank you on the show. You can also get content only there at patreon.com/social English. Please share our podcast on your social media with your friends. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I will see you in our next exciting show. And we're going to talk about another social English repair shop where I help a Japanese learner of English by fixing their English. We're going to do that in the next show and can't wait to see you there. Hikari, please close out the show.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイト realsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.